Without further ado, please welcome Shep Roeper. Nice.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Thank you. All right, fair warning. I love to talk about Beyond Boundaries, and I cry often. So I'm going to try to keep it to, what do I have, 20 minutes? 25 minutes-ish? And tier list, but we'll see. So thank you for having me. Ever since we started this conversation, I've been really excited about today, and then the vibe's been pretty high since showing up. So thank you to everyone here, and thank you for showing up and listening to me and talking with me after this. I'm Shep Roeper, the executive director and one of the two co-founders of Beyond Boundaries. Aside from my work life, I have an awesome wife, a great son, his name's River, and 3 animals at home, so I stay very busy when I'm not working on Beyond Boundaries stuff. But I want to talk today a little bit, or a little bit and a lot of bit, about how everything happens with Beyond Boundaries because of mentorship in my life, and then how mentorship has really started to naturally form within our organization. So, what we do, Beyond Boundaries, one more?
Yep.
Awesome. Let's start with the video, actually.
All right.
90 seconds-ish. Never mind, let's skip the video. Here we go. I'll talk while it plays, that's all right. So yeah, I was gonna say I'll talk when it plays. So it's great to see the video. We'll also see photos throughout today. But we connect underserved communities to the great outdoors, and we're very fortunate in Richmond to be able to do a lot of stuff outdoors. Raise your hand if you enjoy doing anything outside. Like it, awesome. I was gonna say, if you didn't raise your hand, stay later. So we primarily work with kids and adults with disabilities. We also work with veterans, underserved youth, and groups in substance recovery. And we're a partnership model. So what that means is we don't have a calendar that goes out to the public for people to sign up for our programming. We partner with other nonprofits, with other day support, residential programs, social clubs, stuff like that. And we have over 40 nonprofit partners in the Richmond and Roanoke area. And we do almost everything you can possibly do outside, either internally or partner with other groups: whitewater rafting, fishing, hiking, climbing, biking, day camps, overnight camps, a lot of stuff that we'll get into very shortly. You can end it, that's fine, I'll keep talking. Technology is not my forte. All right, here we go. All right, next slide, please. There we go. Let's fast forward again. And once more.
We'll get there, y'all.
Our tagline is "Adventure is for everyone," and that's really what gets us up every day, is trying to make sure that we create opportunities for everyone in the Richmond community. Let's go once more, please. All right, so we're going to go through a little bit about our programming and then specifically talk about the pillars of our organization and why we do what we do, and then get into that mentorship in between. So let's go once more. Fishing is one of our most popular programs, very tactile experience for our participants. Also really breeds new environmental stewards for the community, understanding what's in our James River, how to take care of our fish. Talk about the different species that live here. Richmond is the river city, but if you've never been to the James River or connected with it, how connected do you feel to that tagline? So we try to make sure we connect people to the river and the local ponds. Kayaking and paddleboarding is a great program that we get to introduce people to flat water and to whitewater experiences. We're very fortunate to have the James River Class 3s and 4 rapids running right through our urban setting. But it also, we'll go back once more. That's all right. It also does create a lot of barriers because of adaptive needs. A lot of our participants do have very specific needs because of their disabilities, and this allows us to kind of get very creative. If you look at this picture on the left, the green kayak, we've got some outriggers, some buoys, some stabilizers to make sure that people who either are very new to kayaking or have, lack trunk support, stability, feel comfortable and safe on the river. Let's go next, please. Whitewater rafting, we partner with RVA Paddle Sports to create these opportunities. We have a very calm stretch of the river. We say there's voluntary swimming, and then we have a little splashier, so maybe involuntary swimming. So we really can provide experiences based on our group's goals. Next one. Camps and Adventure Club. These programs, these breed a lot of the inclusive aspects of our programs. We try to get volunteers and try to get community partners involved. And these camps and clubs really, they meet regularly, so we get to understand and get to know our participants a little more intimately than just our regular programs. So we're excited about these as well. Once more. Hiking and biking, both of these are great because they're great ways to work on our physical health, to get outside, to be active. We've got some great trails in the Richmond area, paved trails, and then also dirt trails, so we can really work on our access here. Next one. And then indoor and outdoor rock climbing, other very high adrenaline, exciting activities that I'll talk about in a little bit, but I'm very excited about the adaptive aspects of these. So let's go once more. Pontooning, this is a really special one. This is a great way. A lot of people don't really get to see south of the James unless you have a boat or know someone who has a boat, which is very few people. So this is a great opportunity to see a different stretch of the James River. Also, it's a great one for our participants because that empowerment piece, there's a lot of individuals that we work with that will never have a driver's license. And this is a chance to get behind a wheel and navigate a pretty big piece of machinery on their own. And it's a pretty cool feeling. Having a driver's license is the epitome of independence. You go where you want. You turn right, you go right. Turn left, you go left. And this allows our participants to have that feeling. So I'm excited about that one too. Once more. And all right, so no, you're good. Inclusivity, that's really what we try to do. Half of our mission is about getting people into the experiences that we provide. All these programs, challenge yourself, work on communication and social skills and independence, confidence, connection, all of that. The other half is really about getting volunteers and community members involved so we create a more inclusive space. So we create a space to learn about how similar we all are, how we enjoy the same restaurants and music and travel locations and all of these things. So the social aspect really creates that inclusivity that we're working towards. Here's just a couple data stats here about people feeling like they want to come back and they make friends and they're feeling more confident. We'll go next one. So mentor, the theme of today. What is a mentor? I took some time really thinking about what this meant to me and then what I think how people interpret this word. And here's a couple other words that came to mind. Advisor, consultant, family, friends. Somebody asked earlier if you've ever been a mentor, if you have a mentor. Maybe you don't know if you're in that gray area, but I feel like this is something that has really helped me grow the organization because there's a lot I didn't know. I went to school for outdoor recreation and took a lot of courses in therapeutic recreation, but I never took anything in business management or how to write a budget or marketing or fundraising, any of that stuff. And all of that I've been able to be very fortunate to learn by bringing mentors into my life. Let's go next one. So, mentorship, how has it affected the organization? Well, we are celebrating 10 years as an organization this year, so I'm really stoked about that. So more than 10 years ago, one of my best friends, Kyle Burnett, and I had this idea of what Beyond Boundaries is going to be. We want to take people with disabilities whitewater rafting on the James River. And we did 2 programs that year. It says 2 staff. We were hobbyists at the time. So we did 2 adventures that year, worked with 8 participants. It was really exciting. We had this idea that actually came to fruition, and we did it. And then we started growing more and more and asking our participants, what else do you want to do? And what other groups were we not seeing represented in the outdoor space and going to kind of knock on their doors and saying, hey, this is who we are, this is what we want to do. Fast forward 10 years now, and again, that stat is wrong because we hired somebody else since I made this presentation last week, but we have 8 staff. We provide over 300 adventures every year and work with over 2,500 community members every single year. So going from 10 years ago to what we do annually now blows my mind every time we get to kind of talk through this because, again, I was just that raft guy, that kayaker that loved to get outside and get dirty and realized that what it did for me personally, bless you, but realized that a lot of people didn't have those opportunities. There's financial barriers, there's physical barriers to all these activities. And through mentorship, and some people have been in my life for a while as mentors, and some people kind of pop in and out annually, but that's what's gotten us from year 1 to year 10, which I'm really excited about that. Let's go next slide. All right, so the 3 pillars that we as an organization really pride ourselves on: access, community and empowerment. So access, what does that mean? Access is creating more access to the activities, making sure that our community members have access to play in the outdoors, to have this time to challenge themselves, to get excited, to get a little fearful, to work on communicating, to bond. So more access means more programs, different programs. We're growing programs annually now, but also safer access, making sure no matter what your abilities are you going to be safe when you're on the river, on the climbing wall, while you're fishing? So here's a great example. This is a participant, now friend. She was our very first participant on our first trip 10 years ago, and she's kayaking with us here. This was the stabilizers, outrigger buoys that we were talking about earlier to work on that side-to-side stability. But also you can see right here is a specific chair. So if you have a little, if you're lacking a little core stability from side to side, this keeps you upright and safe. So we work hard as a staff to really be on the forefront of what other new things are out there. The world of adaptive sports is growing every year, really excited about that. But what new trainings are out there? What's new equipment that we could purchase to make sure we can get more people out on the river? So access is a huge one. And that's my speech. Thank you.
What did I do? Okay, hold please.
I'll go through while we're doing it. Community, all right? Community is our second one. So when I talk about community, I mean the Richmond community one, making sure people feel connected. Again, going back to Richmond is the river city, making sure people feel connected and involved and welcomed into the community. I used to talk about this a lot when we were in the thick of COVID, and raise your hand if you felt maybe a little socially isolated, even from your own close loved ones, right? So take this concept and take a worldwide pandemic out of the equation. A lot of our participants have felt socially isolated or not included in a lot of Richmond things to do without that pandemic. And we want to make sure that we're providing the opportunity, there we go, to make sure people do feel welcomed and do feel part of the community. So community is a huge one. Go back real quick, sorry. But not only the Richmond community, but the sub-communities of I'm an angler, I'm a paddler, I'm a hiker, right? I'm a climber, because that builds the connection between people. If you've ever done one of those activities and you meet somebody else who enjoys those activities, you almost bond immediately and start sharing stories. So that's what we try to bring in. Next one, please. Empowerment. So this is a great one that kind of lends into the mentor theme today. So empowerment, we try to teach people how to safely recreate, how to enjoy these activities outside of our program. So if they want to do these things with their friends and family, again, on the weekends or when we're not running programs, they have the ability to do that and explore more. But that empowerment piece really provides just the stage to build confidence, to work on maybe employment, to get your driver's license, to go out and try new things, to go to concerts. So feeling confident on the climbing wall and feeling like you accomplished something just flows into the rest of your life. So we say the program or the impact of the program doesn't stop when that program's over. That's really the start of it. And then we're excited to see how it grows afterwards. Next one. So 3 short stories. Am I doing it right on time? Yeah. All right, 3 short stories about mentorship. And I want to talk about how role changing has happened within the organization and how mentorship feeds into this. So here's a participant, Brandon, who came to us through one of our bigger partners, Jacob's Chance, if you've ever heard of them. We work with them about 30 times a year. And he came to our programs via fishing. And I remember we're at University of Richmond, and from the get-go, when we show up, he shows up and he's like asking questions about this bait and why we use this rod versus this rod and what's in the pond that we might catch. So the curiosity is already there. So we get him when we're fishing, and he, fortunately/unfortunately, set the bar very high for himself by landing a pretty nice largemouth bass. So we're fishing, and all of a sudden his rod goes over, and he just starts screaming with joy. And he's reeling it in. I'm like, please land this. Don't lose this fish, please. And he lands it. And the second he lands it, he drops the rod and he calls his granddad. And he just is so excited. His first time fishing. He had been wondering and trying to do this program for a while. So we kind of stayed with Brandon's story for a while, and he kept showing up to different programs and more programs, and had that curiosity, just kept getting deeper and deeper with questions. So I think maybe 2 years ago, last year, we called Brandon. We're like, hey, what's going on? Like, what's after school? What are your plans? And he's like, well, actually, I'm looking, for a job. And we were like, well, how would you like to join our team? And again, there's that scream again. So he's excited, and he already accepted before we hung up the phone. He's like, when do you want me to show up? Like, yes, 100%. His mom was on the phone. He's stoked. So now he helps run our tabling events. He helps fishing programs, our clubs. He shows up to more, our Learn to Bike program. And he talks about a lot more independent stuff about possibly getting his driver's license and possibly moving out of his parents' house, being a little more independent, although I'm sure his mom's going to keep him there as long as she can. But this is a great story that goes from someone who is looking up to our staff in that passion of what's this activity? How can I do this more? And now his role has changed, and now he's the mentor, he's the leader, he's the one that participants are coming up to him asking questions. And he can connect with participants in ways that our staff can't, because he was a participant first. So great story, great kid, great young man, excuse me. Here's another story of how I think mentorship has happened through our organization. So Shelby Lynn, we came in contact with Shelby Lynn a couple years ago, and we partner with another nonprofit called Sportable, if you've heard of them. We partner with them on our rock climbing, or some of our rock climbing. And she came as an athlete, and she was a climber. And I don't know if she got into climbing because of that or got into climbing because of that, but she started really getting excited about it and wanted to do more and more. And for those that are not familiar with climbing, you've got a person who's a rock climber, and they've got a harness that a rope is attached to it and goes all the way up to the ceiling and then back down to another person with a harness. So one is the rock climber and the other is the belayer. And you have to learn skills to be a belayer, because there's the safety, there's the trust aspect to that, there's the communication. So Shelby Lynn not only enjoyed the climbing aspect, but also wanted to learn or relearn, I can't remember, how to belay. And now she did, and she got checked out, and now she is not only an athlete, but she's also a volunteer. So she's the one helping give some support, ground support, cheerleading, right? And I want you to think about two different scenarios, similar but different. If you're at all, like most of us, afraid of heights, right? It's a pretty natural fear. And you're up 20, 30 feet on the wall, and your heart's pumping, and you're sweating a little bit, and someone's cheering you on. You can do it. You can take a break, breathe, go one more reach, right? And they're supporting you. Now take that same scenario and have crickets. And no one's telling you can do it. And no one's there to support you. And no one's there to give you guidance, right? What's the difference? How do those two scenarios play out differently? And that is a very important and powerful piece of mentorship that can come just with volunteering. Next one. So third story, here's Allie. If you haven't gone to our website, go to our website. And then also go to our YouTube page. We have a lot of documentaries, a lot of films that we've shot in. And we shot a film about two adaptive athletes, rock climbing. Adaptive Ascent is what it's called. And it came on last year. And Allie was one of the stars of that. And Allie is a competitive rock climber. She competes. She's competed all over the country. And she's traveled all over the world to climb. And so she came to us a couple of different ways, but the Sportable partnership was one of them. And she became a volunteer. And you can see on, I guess it's your far left here, that she's working with an athlete, and they have very different lives, and they have very different stories to tell. But one thing that they could connect on is that they have an upper limb difference, and they both share that. So she's going to connect with this athlete in ways that other volunteers are not going to be able to. And she's going to be able to support this athlete in ways that other volunteers are not going to be able to. And I would almost be willing to bet that mentorship kind of goes back and forth. And that's one thing that we really hear from our volunteers a lot, is that our volunteers leave our programs changed and touched. And wow, wasn't expecting that. And not knowing what you're expecting, but getting really what you need, right? And I think that's really what mentorship wraps itself into, is that you don't know how you're going to connect with somebody. And one of the best things I love about all our volunteers is that you might have a skill or a passion about our activity, but it's the social aspect that really brings us together and allows us to connect, and that community to come together and for us to bond. And then we start building those relationships that go back to mentorship. And I think mentorship can go both ways sometimes. We'll go next slide. One more. So one thing I'd like to kind of end with, because I would like to have some conversation, is how do you get involved, right? So volunteerism is the best thing. We're like every nonprofit. We need donations. We need people to show up, obviously. But volunteering supports our mission and helps us spread the word and helps our staff a lot. So thank you. So go to our website, which I'll put on the last slide. Click the volunteer button, and you can kind of take it from there. But volunteering is the best way that you can get involved. Again, you don't have to be an expert. Most of our volunteers are not experts at any of these activities, but they have a passion with connecting with the community. They want to try something fun. And a lot of volunteers start to get into new hobbies because they volunteer with us, which is cool. Social media, Instagram and Facebook, Beyond Boundaries RBA. And then we have our next big kind of event coming up September 19th. We're going to hold a big gala at Maymont, where we'll have a lot of participants talk about their experience and how their lives have been impacted by Beyond Boundaries, while we have a lot of fun that night too. So I'll leave this up. I want to just wrap up before we go to some Q&A, that mentorship can be thought of many different ways. And I think that you might actually be a mentor or someone that somebody looks up to, and you might not even know it. Right? And I always say to all of our team, like, go and extend, hey, I'm Shep, what's your name? Extend that friendship bridge, build that connection, and see what develops from there. So, without further ado, thank you all very much.
In grand mentorship fashion, you didn't speak about yourself, so we are going to kick off some questions about you, and Benita is going to kick us off.
Hi, Shep. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear about Beyond Boundaries. What an incredible organization. Yeah, the whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, I'm so curious to know, like, how, why, like, what was the inspiration for Beyond Boundaries? What's your personal connection to it? How did it come to be?
Great question. So I studied outdoor rec and therapeutic rec at Radford University and found out that you could major in something that you play in all the time, which was really cool. And all my friends hated me because while they were cramming for tests, I was like, I have to go caving today, or I got to go rock climbing today. So that was my life and conversations. I got to work, very fortunately, for a nonprofit that really started the adaptive and inclusive space in California back in the late 60s in San Francisco, and so did Kyle, who's my co-founder. We're about a semester behind. And when we were done with that internship and then that job, we moved back to Richmond. We really just wanted to volunteer with something that was like that. And we loved what it did for us, and we wanted to kind of give back again. And through research, we realized there wasn't anything in the outdoor recreation space. So we just decided to start it. My mom's been in nonprofit work for almost all of my life. And I said, hey, we have this idea. And she honestly, my parents have great parents. I'm very fortunate. And I think they naturally were just my mentors growing up. But we sat down and we're like, this is what we want to do. And she helped us understand like how to make a budget and how to like market this and how to fundraise and how to strategize the growth of this organization. And I think that it's through that and just keeping an open-mindedness of everyone that I meet. How can we do more together?
Thank you for talking to us today, Shep. Mothers are great at encouragement, and when you were starting this, you didn't get into this to run a business. You got into this to help other people. So in those first couple of years, who was your belay? Who helped encourage you when there could have just been crickets?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I like how you brought that belay in there. That's great. I don't know if I could really pinpoint one specific person. I feel very fortunate with the upbringing that I had. I've got a lot of support. I love meeting people, and I love talking with people, and I love just collaboration. And I think that's one thing that really helped traject us forward, is that we weren't trying to compete with anyone else doing something similar. We're like, hey, you're already working in a similar space with similar individuals. Let's partner together and do this. And when we first started, it was just individuals with disabilities, and we didn't get into the other. Our elevator pitch is getting much longer as we grow, right? But we just Googled disability in Richmond, and everything that popped up, we just rang on, called or knocked on doors and said, this is what we want to do. And most people were like, come back to us later on. But we had a few people that bit. And then that momentum, just being a part of our programs, if anyone has been a part of our programs, you know what it feels like. Like seeing this is great, but I really encourage you to come out and volunteer and get to meet participants, because then it's your story. It's not my story you're hearing, but then you have your own version of that. And I think every single program just filled my heart more and wanted to do more. And for the first maybe 5 years, it was a very long hustle. And it was a lot of meetings during our free time. And it just kept, the first year we did 2 programs, then we did, I think, 7, then we did 25. And so it just kept snowballing forward. And I think I just kept getting more full and full and full. And then eventually I went to my board, maybe year 5. I don't know, one of my board members and one of my best friends here, but it was like year 5, like, hey, listen, I'm going to say no to participants if I don't go full time with this next year. And they were like, obvious, let's do it. So then went full time and we kind of kept going.
Hey, Shep.
Hey, Satish.
Thanks for all you do to the community. I mean, my question is, where are you taking this next? I know you have something going on in Roanoke. And the second question is, what kind of mentors are you looking forward to as you grow?
That's great. Where are we taking it next? There's 2 next stages besides just doing more of what we're doing. We're in the works of trying to figure out how to create a camp so we can provide longer, more inclusive overnight opportunities, get to know our participants for more than just 2 hours. So that's one, and you'll have to stay tuned for those updates. That also allows us to, the adaptive rock climbing and the adaptive whitewater experiences, we've started to get groups outside of 2 or 3 hours away wanting those and needing those. So the overnight ability is going to really help us expand. And the second one is there's outfitters, there's outdoor recreation fitters everywhere. And there's the participants we work with everywhere. So we do a training called Disability Inclusion Training, and it's how to be more inclusive with our language and with our body language and with our programs for groups that serve individuals with disabilities. And to take that on the next stage is going to be great, because then we can start sharing that knowledge that we've been able to build over 10 plus years with other groups that are working with there. And I don't know if I could categorize who I want to meet next. I'll meet everyone.
Oh, pressure. Thanks, Shep. This has been such a good talk. I was curious about your relationship with your co-founder, because I feel like mentorship, we often look for people who have way more experience or, are older or whatever it is. But I found for me, I can learn a lot from my peers. So I'd love to hear about how you guys learn from each other and what that relationship was like.
Yeah, it's been great. He's been a great friend of mine for probably 18 years. And he and I, when we were first starting, we're hustling equally as hard and taking our passions, and we have a lot of overlap, but we also have a lot of differences, and taking everything that we brought to the table and expanding, and whether it was someone going out looking for participants, or let's try to develop this program a little further, or whatever it was, or new ideas. And Kyle has stayed involved from a board aspect, and he's a board member of mine for a while now, and he took his career a little differently. He's got a couple kids in private school, and he's a teacher at St. Chris, and he's been able to advise, and he can relate to me in ways that a lot of other people can't, because he was there from the idea stage. So I think for both of us, it's gone way beyond what we ever thought it was going to be. But he's able to connect to me in ways that other people can't. So it's been great to have him by my side through all this.
Shep, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You don't have to do anything with that. I'm just going to take it back from you. Everybody, Shep.